Good Thursday morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Give me a quick thumbs up if you've been doing real estate long enough that you just kind of lose track of days sometimes. We don't have the Monday through Friday, so I feel like the Monday through Friday worker always knows what day of the week it is. And I always have to take a quick second to say it when I say good morning to you guys every morning, because I got to check what day it is. So, well, if you don't feel like that, I don't think you've been doing real estate long enough. Because if you're not there yet, I think you're going to get there. But who wants to start us off with a win today? What do we got? Jen.
I was away, and of course my phone wouldn't stop, and I had to reach out to everyone to help me with showings, and everyone was awesome. And I ended up getting 2 out of the 3 accepted. I got the one accepted on the way up to vacation the next day, and then I just got one of the others accepted last night. So yeah, it was worth it.
I love it. I love it. And did you just use chat channels to get most of your stuff covered, Jen? Do you have a couple of just go-to people that you count on in the office? How do you typically handle that?
I just reached out to them directly to before I went and put it on chat, and then I didn't have to use chat, but otherwise I would have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you know, as you kind of get going and you kind of find a couple of people that you jive with in the office, hey, can you cover this? And you kind of have that natural collaboration. And when you get stuck, use the chat channels. You know, you know, it's one of the things I'm most proud of about the way we operate our brokerage is the collaborative nature that everybody chips in. It allows us to go away on vacation and not feel guilty. You know, I definitely didn't have that same collaborative vibe at the previous brokerage that I ran. And there's nothing against the brand. It's just the nature of the way that we've built this. So appreciate whenever I see somebody post something in chat and immediately somebody's like, I can help, or I'll help, or because that's what it takes in this business. It takes an army, and it's nice to know that you can kind of count on some of your colleagues. So cool. Jen.
And I just wanted to share, so I was communicating back and forth like nonstop. It was like a little too much. But anyways, when she called me, she goes, so, you know, I can't believe this, but congratulations, he's accepting your offer. I go, why can't you believe it? And she said, because he had another cash offer, which was $45K over what your buyer offered, and an escalation. She goes, but he really liked the communication you had and knows you're going to get this done. And that, what was the other thing? He didn't want to go back and forth negotiating with the others. So communication, like I always say, just really, really helps.
Yeah, I think, you know, showing that you're going to drive the bus and get this thing done right from talking to them, setting the appointment, giving them feedback after the appointment, drafting the offer. Hey, what do you think you need? How can I improve this? Can I get that last at bat? Can I get that last look? All those little things are just showing, man, Jen wants this deal. This other guy submitted something I haven't even heard from him. I haven't heard from him, haven't heard from the lender, I have no idea. Right? So those things matter. That's a great share. Thank you so much. Anybody else have something big win? All right. Well, if you guys haven't noticed, I do try and put a theme to the music. It's not always just completely random. So today's song had to do with moving, and I saw a survey that was done by a company called 1000 Watt. So 1000 Watt is a marketing agency that you could hire to help you with your branding. I think they would do brokerage level branding, they do agent level branding, they do team level branding. But they're one of the blogs that I kind of pay attention to because a lot of times they'll put out some good info. So I am going to, for the, I think, second day in a row, I am going to launch a little poll. They did a quiz asking baby boomers, when you think of moving, what do you see as your biggest challenge? So here are the 4 options. I am launching, it should be live now. I want you to make your votes. So you're going to check the activities little button here. It's the triangle, the square, and the circle. Because I think the results are interesting, and I think you guys need to understand this when we are meeting with sellers. When you think of moving, what do you see as your biggest challenge? Large tax bill after sale, finding another home you like, interest rates, or the logistics of planning and executing a move? Get your votes in. Come on, we got 33 people on here. If you don't know, raise your hand. If you don't know where to find how to vote, we've only got 10 votes in. I'd like to see 15, 20 votes get in here. It's in the bottom of your app. If you're on an app, you should see an activities button, a triangle, a square, and a circle. Place your votes. And a couple more. We're almost at 20. Let's get 2/3 of you guys. 2 more votes to get to 20. 19. 1 more voter. All right, 21. Awesome. Awesome. So the results of the, let me see if I can share this sucker. Here is the results. So we voted, and you guys got this, right? The most concerning thing, so we had 12 of our 22 votes went for the logistics. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see if we can zoom in on that. Why can I not zoom? Well, I'll read it to you because I don't think that's the greatest on the screen, but 39% coming in first, logistics of planning and executing the move. So 4 out of 10, that was our biggest concern. Coming in second was finding another home. That's 36%. 5%, the tax bill. 15% was interest rates. And so the reason why I just want to make sure that everybody understands the answer to this is because when you're meeting with a seller or you're talking to somebody that is talking buy sell, I think a lot of times, what are we doing? What are you looking for in a new house? What do you want for your property? How much time are we spending on how concerned are you about this move? Because that's what's in the back of their head. That's what's most concerning to them. So if you're sitting down with a seller, how much of your presentation is geared towards this topic? I know I didn't used to do this that much, right? I'm getting all the input. I'm going to make sure I set them up in a search. I'm going to make sure I help them find that new property. And I'm definitely going to go over the comps and all the marketing that I'm going to do. And I'm going to get your house sold for top dollar. But with this data, I think we really got to put a lot of time into making sure that they are comfortable with the logistics of planning and executing that move. So, some of the things that I just jotted down is, are they nervous about just even packing stuff up, downsizing their stuff if they are a downsizer? What are they going to do with it all? They're going to free cycle it? They're going to sell it? They're going to throw it out? Does some of it have sentimental value and they're nervous to get rid of it? Are they going to put it into a, one of these storage facilities? So all of their stuff, probably not going to fit in the new place, especially if they're downsizing. If they're upsizing, then, it would probably fit, but still nerve-wracking to make a move. The actual boxing it up, packing it, hiring the movers. Do I trust these people? How long is it going to take me? I mean, I'm sure you guys have, if you've listed a house before, who's had it? You get to day of closing. You told them, hey, house has got to be broom swept. You're over there. House is still full. You're like, this is going to take 2 days to get rid of this stuff. I don't know what you guys were thinking, but we're not moving this out this morning. So I just think having these conversations just shows you really care about the experience, not just making a sale, right? That's how we're going to get long-term clients, relationships, build our book of business, get referrals, is by in this case, maybe they're not even going to tell you, right? Because we always talk about listening. If you ask that question, I don't know if they're going to tell you that that's the answer in the back of their head. But here's a survey with some data. We know this is the answer. So let's just make sure that we are having these conversations, thinking about this when we go into a buy, sell, or a downsize, and even when you're going into an upsize. Pat.
I don't know how many people have run into this, but on the few that I've sold, all three of them had happened where they said, the seller said to me, "Oh, well, I mean, that was there when I moved in, so I don't have to remove it." And I said, no, it doesn't work like that. If it's here now, you got to get rid of it. So, that's something I run into on the sells on my side. People just don't really understand. Like, oh yeah, that stuff behind the shed that was there when you bought it, like that should have been removed, but you can't leave it there just because it was there when you bought it.
Totally. I'm curious because when we were smaller, I think all my agents were aware of the broom swept, broom clean video that we did. Just raise your hands quickly. Have you seen that video where we just try and make light of this? That make sure these guys understand what really needs to get out of there, because it's a nightmare for you guys if the buyer's agent shows up. Hey, I'm at the final walkthrough and everything is still here and it's not broom swept and I got paint over here and we didn't want it. And now you're scrambling the last day. Everybody's stressed out. A couple of hands up. Amber, what do you got? Go ahead, Amber. You're muted if you're trying.
I have 2 listings right now and they've been a headache. I have people who've already moved, the house is empty, and I go back every week to check it because it's in Springfield. And every day I'm like, hey guys, I noticed that trash barrel has it's tagged because they didn't put the right things in the bucket or whatever. Oh yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there this weekend. We'll be there next week. Well, we're closing on Wednesday. I just went there today to pick up the smoker, and there's still shit in the house. There's still shit in the shed. And I did let them know, listen, if you guys don't remove this stuff, they're probably going to do a holdback at closing. You guys got to get this stuff out of there. My other one is downsizing, but she's right now, she doesn't work during the summer. So she has no money coming in. Unemployment screwed up her unemployment. So in the meantime, she has no way, like she was going to order a pod. She has no money for the pod. That one's not closing for a few weeks, so I'm not stressed about that one. But every deal, there is always something that we have to work through and get through. Otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah, and it is sometimes you can't control these clients. There's just nothing you can do. But it is a little bit of a reflection on you as an agent, what the experience is with the other agent. And remember, you could be doing another deal with that agent next week, next month, next year, and they're going to remember. It could go great, but if we get a sloppy finish, it could leave a sour taste. Molly, you had your hand up.
Well, I was just saying that I had seen that video. It's funny that Pat mentioned that because I've had multiple sellers who have that logic too, and I think it's really silly. But I did have a final walkthrough recently where there was a lot of stuff left, but the buyer was getting like such a good deal on it, and the seller's like in a wheelchair, and it was just kind of a lot of aspects of the situation where they were like, let's just close. We'll get the seller's phone number and sort this out after. So it just depends on the person too.
Yep. It definitely, every deal is just different, just like Amber was saying. You never know how it's going to finish out. It's just trying to keep a level head, having an open dialogue, not accusing anybody of anything. Just, hey, this is what we're dealing with right now. What's the best way to get this resolved? So
For me is my buyer I reminded them, don't, give your landlord that you're leaving at the end of the month because you bought a house. Because there's always something that might come up before the closing. And he didn't take my advice. There's some things going on. And, he went back to his landlord and said, I may not be moving out at the end of July. Landlord's going, well, for next month, it's your normal rent and an additional $400. So he wasn't happy about that.
yeah, I mean, on that one, Sue, so a couple of points here. Number one, I would have him talk to legal counsel about the guy just jacking his rent, see what his legal requirements are to pay that extra money. I mean, I don't know what state this is in, but most likely he could not pay his rent at all and be fine. And I'm not trying to tell him how to beat the system or whatever, but that's the reality. Forget about an extra $400. I mean, a tenant doesn't pay. I just don't see that landlord getting that rent payment,
Okay.
in all honesty. But, you should just, I don't know that I'm going to give that recommendation. I would just say, hey, you might want to just consult an attorney to see if that, landlord can do that to you. But the previous point that you made is a good one, because I don't think too many agents are having that conversation, which is when you do have a person in a rental situation saying, hey, look, there's no way that we can guarantee that this is going to close on time. So if you give your notice and you don't think the landlord is going to be forgiving, we could have a problem of where are you going to stay for that next month. Again, do I think they're getting booted out of that apartment? Probably not. But they should talk to, legal counsel to see what their options are. And we should at least be giving that advice. Hey, look, yeah, we've got the closing date set for end of July, but it's a real estate deal. Anything could happen. We might close in July right on time. We might not close. There could be an issue with the title. We might close in August. We might close in September. There could be an issue with the title that, it's going to get resolved, but it's going to take 2 months to get it resolved. We just don't know. And so just having those conversations, that's why we're doing these calls, is so you guys have these experiences so you can then have these conversations, because that's when you're going to seem like the professional, when you're laying out all these scenarios just to make sure, hey, want to make sure you understand, yes, that's great. We have a closing date, but there's no guarantees. Anybody else have a story around final walkthrough or anything that you might want to share with the group? Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I had a nightmare of a buyer situation. We were the buy side, and the sellers. It went on forever. I think it was like finally 7 months later, we were ready to close, and they had a pot on the property that was going to be staying, and the buyer knew, but they were supposed to take everything out of it, and it was filled with everything, and it had to be removed. The closing was supposed to be the next day. And the agent was like, well, we're not doing it. Everything was falling apart, like on his end. Like, I think he was leaving the brokerage. It was a mess. So I said, no, you have to remove it. We're finally closing. He's like, no, I can't do it. I go rent a U-Haul or something. I'll meet you there. I was so mad. So I brought my daughter with me, and he went and got the U-Haul, and we were pulling everything out of it. I mean, like, there was all the oil from the old oil tank in buckets open. It was horrible. But we got it all out, and my daughter and I swept it out, and we had the closing. But it was a nightmare. I mean, I could go on and on about everything else. Hiram, everyone knows.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I'm hearing there and that I see time and time again with our top agents is a resilience on their deals, a resilience to get the offer accepted, a resilience to get the lending through, a resilience to get through inspections, a resilience to get through the final walkthrough. It's just constantly grinding to get these deals to close. versus the unsuccessful agents who might be putting in some reps, but they're just too timid. They're not taking, they're not driving the bus. That's the thing that I always like to say. They're just letting stuff happen. I guess we're not going to get this offer accepted. I guess this is just going to fall apart due to the mortgage. I guess, we're just not going to be able to put this deal together. We got some inspection issues. The good agents would have gotten through all three of those scenarios. They would have figured out a way. Now, can you put every single deal together and keep every single deal together? Absolutely not. But that's the difference between the best agents. They're fighters. They try and problem solve from start to finish. So, if you're just accepting things as they are, just start to question. Ask somebody, hey, this is falling apart. Anything that I can do, right? Those are the questions. We'll take those questions all day long because it means you're trying to do deals. A question of, hey, how does the CRM work on this, where you could have gone off and done it on your own? Those can get frustrating. When we know the training is out there and you're not taking the time to learn a system or something. But for the scenario stuff, ask away, because there's 6 different ways to solve most of these problems. Anybody else? Let's just transition. We spent a lot of time on that. We can stay there if we need to, but anybody have a scenario going on in a deal that you need some help with, some advice, or something just happened to you that would be a good share for the group? Amber.
So on one of my listings, has, lo and behold, solar panels. Well, the buyer is from out of the country. So it was a cash deal, and purchase and sale kept getting pushed out, because she was, obviously out of the country. So finally I just called and I said, what is going on? I already gave him all the information for the solar. Well, the attorney was concerned because she doesn't have credit in the US that she wouldn't get the transfer. Truthfully, I said, they kind of really have no choice but to transfer it, because otherwise my client's going to still be there and she's already having issues paying that bill. So what ended up happening was, because the buyer's always supposed to call and get an account started once the seller lets them know that they're selling. But she wasn't doing that because they were all concerned about her not getting approved. So I ended up getting on the phone with Sonova or Sunrun or whoever it was, and just saying, hey, this is the situation. What do we do in this situation? And they said basically they would not run a credit report, but she would have to put $1,000 like deposit down to get it transferred. Lo and behold, all of a sudden the purchase and sale was signed. So it was a little bit of a issue for a week or so, but I think we're good to go now.
Yeah. So this is a prime example of just going above and beyond. The other agent should be doing all this stuff. The other agent should be trying to get this transfer to go through, right? On the seller side, we've got to get the seller to notify the company, hey, I'm going to be selling the property. You should be getting a request for a transfer. On the transfer side, the agent should have been doing all of this stuff. But if you want deals to close, sometimes you got to go do the other side's part of the job. And definitely on these solar panel things, make sure this stuff is happening up front. If you've got a solar panel deal, right up front, know that the other side has initiated the transfer. Can you show me something, buyer's agent? I would like this done by the inspection period or something. Can you show me that they've initiated the transfer? Some sort of an email, some sort of a confirmation, something. Because the last thing that you want is to get towards the end and we can't get these panels transferred. So great share there, Amber. Who else has got something? Pat.
This is a little bit lengthy, but I'll get through it quick. So I had a deal fall apart June 1st. Deal was under contract. Asking price was $470. We offered $450. We got it accepted. We found a whole bunch of stuff on the inspection report that wasn't disclosed. We tried to negotiate, but the list side was only willing to give us like $6,500, and we were at like 22 grand worth of stuff that needed to be fixed. So deal fell apart June 1st. House went back on the market. now 2 weeks later, they did an open house, dropped it to 450, which is what we had it under at. I called my clients and said, hey, listen, they took a price drop on it. So like, what are you thinking? They were like, if it doesn't go down to like 410, 415, we're not going after it again. In the meantime, every weekend we go out and we see 3, 4, 5 houses, and they compare every house that we're looking at to that one that they lost, right? So it's very frustrating for me because I know they really want that house still. I got a phone call 2 days ago. Hey, listen, the second deal that we had under fell apart as well. We don't want to go back to market. Are your clients still interested? I went to them. I said, hey, listen, they're offering it to you at 435. Would you like to, that's 15 grand, which is the amount that we were trying to get off when we were under contract. So like, we're at that number. Like, do you want to go back after it? No, we can't go after it unless it's 415. The list agent calls me yesterday and says, hey, listen, they're willing to go to 420. Do your clients want it at 420? They've already done inspection, ready to go. That's really close to the number they wanted at. I called them. I let them know. My clients are like, no, you know what? That list agent has been such a jerk this whole time that we don't even want to deal with her anymore. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, Steve. I'm like, I want to like strangle him through the phone. I'm like, it's the number. This is the number you're at. Like, you wanted 415. This is it. We're here. And now they're like, well, we'll tell her that we're going to look at houses over the weekend, and maybe on Monday, if it's still available, we'll offer then. And I don't want to piss the clients off, but at the same time, I want to be like, what are we doing here? So yeah, it's been a roller coaster with this deal, and these clients, and I don't want to completely, I don't know. I'm really frustrated with them, and at the same time, and they're a sell as well, so I'm kind of like, okay, well, let's look at some over the weekend this weekend, and maybe go back to them. But I just want them to make the offer. Like, what are we doing? They're offering it to you at the number you said you wanted.
Yeah. So I'm hearing two things. One, a little bit of a shift in the market, right? We got sellers chasing buyers now. And so, Pat, I know how long you've been in the business. You've never seen this, right? But there was like a 6 or 7 year period for me that all the negotiations went that way. We're looking at 20 houses. We write an offer. The seller says no. And then the seller's coming back with the same offer 2 weeks later, and the buyer goes, yeah, we don't want it for that now. Now we want it for even less, right? And so this is the other side of the market. And I don't know if the market's really changed that much or how much the pricing was, but I think the other thing is, we talk about this a lot. When we come to market, you're the listing agent and you've got that deal on the table, that first initial deal, whether it's multiple offer or whatever, you really got to get it right. Because clearly what happened is they bring this property to market, they've got some interest, they've got a great offer in Pat's clients. They think that they're going to get all of that again when they told Pat's clients, see ya, we're not doing what you want. And then what happens? They bring it back to market and all of a sudden it's crickets. It's just never the same, almost never, unless the market is completely on fire as when you first bring it. And you've really got to try and stress that to your sellers, right? If I was the listing agent on that first deal where Pat's clients, I'm saying, hey, look, guys, we can definitely come back to market, but I'm telling you, in my experience, we're going to end up taking less than this anyway. We've got a ready, willing, and able buyer. We would know we're through inspections too with this buyer if we just give them what they want. So whatever the saying is, one in the hand is better than two in the bush or whatever. Like, I'm telling you, it happens a lot in real estate, and even more than you just haven't seen it that much because for a lot of you guys, you've only been in this market that just the sellers get whatever the hell they want, So great share, Pat. Hopefully those buyers will come around and you can put that deal together. So, man, I love talking real estate with you guys. I love when you guys are coming with scenarios. We get to digest it. I get fired up about this stuff. So appreciate all the ammunition that you guys were putting on the fire today. Go have yourselves an awesome Thursday, and I can't wait to get back after it again tomorrow. Take care.